Hello and welcome back. Today we have a Grundig transistor 1005. I think it's from around about 1970. It was a sort of an interesting fix. There's not many electrolytic capacitors in here, and they went quite smoothly. But the switching mechanism was drowned in WD-40 or something similar, and I had a lot of trouble with the switches. The actual inside the switches were full of oil and crap, and the actual sliding mechanism on the push buttons was seized. So yeah. And of course the dial cord was drowned in oil as well. So yeah, sometimes bargains are not what they seem. Anyway, let's get straight into it. It's howling a gale outside, literally. So, and I have to go out and teach. So on with the video. Oh, by the way, this is a two-parter. So I'll be back next week as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that jazz. And as I say, I'll speak to you next week. Bye. This is the satellite or satellite, and it only has four electrolytic capacitors in there. So there's this one round here, which I can't quite see because of the heat sink, and this one here. It's otherwise it's got all polymer ones, or there's that one down there. Oh, okay. There's a small electrolytic down there, which I hadn't noticed, and I think that's about it. Very interesting radio. So this is going to be a reasonably quick fix. I've taken this apart quite some time ago to work out what I needed for it, and I finally got around to having a look at it, and all it needs was these for maybe 5 electrolytics. So I've done a big order for some other quite unusual caps, let's just say, and some of them were very expensive. Okay, let's get into it. I won't bore you with my soldering. Looks pretty straightforward. These are a bit far apart, being radials. Yeah, I'll be back after I've recapped it. That's those 4 electrolytics done. And this is the power supply, the 240 volts, or the AC, and that will go in there somehow or another. I can't remember exactly how it goes in, but this will sort of sit in like so. Maybe it goes in sideways. Yes, it probably goes in sideways. So it goes in like that with the connector there. And I've just noticed that this ribbon cable is in the German flag colours, which is a bit bizarre. So black, red and yellow. Yeah. And this is the battery pack. So this will fit dry fit batteries, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 9 volt battery pack. So we'll just turn on my bench supply. Great little supplies, these Rydens, but I don't like the actual main power switch being right at the very back, because I can't, I've got two of them, and they both work very well, but I don't know whether you can make out how filthy, dirty and grotty this is. So this was the big problem with this, the switches. So we'll go for this. We'll turn the power on, and then we'll turn it on here. Are we getting anything out of it? And of course, I'm not going to be able to do the right, we'll take that away, and we'll try moving this out a bit. As revolting as it is, it's obviously being in a heavy smoker's house again. Let's have a look on the front, work out which one's the volume. Okay, it's the third one down, so it'll be this one. I assume this is the power. The overcurrent protection hasn't come in, so I wonder if that centre pin here, the yellow wire, has anything to do with it. Whether that's a sense or something like that. That would go, that would be inside it. Oh, it's got a 9-volt input or something on the back of it. A wall wart or something like that. Going to have to look at the circuit diagram on this, I think, and work out exactly how it's wired up. Everything seems to come in through this up here. I can bring you around on the... Yes, it seems to all come in through here, which I think is a 9-volt wall wart or something like that. It's got a couple of contacts in there, but I'm not quite sure how it gets from this one on the 240 volt power supply over to this one on the battery. So if you don't have batteries in it and you're just using it on the AC, that would not be connected at all. If you had the model without the AC input, then that wouldn't be relevant. But they seem to meet up here, and that connects into this socket in here. So I'll have to, as I say, investigate this further. It's very strange. Oh, actually, I can get the power supply from the other radio. That one's not discombobulated. Okay, this is the power supply out of another one of these type of radios, not this particular model, but a can't remember what it is. So I've got 3 of them, and what I'm done is I've gone through the dim bulb, and we'll so it's on about 120 volts. So I'll turn this on, and we'll see if it's drawing any current. Yep, so that is working. So I'll bring it up to 220. It's still on the dim bulb. So it is actually doing something. Now this is the 3rd one down. I'm not quite sure why it's humming quite so loud. That sounds like FM.
What we found was that cherries really don't like giving up their juice without a lot of enzymes or mechanical intervention. We didn't have access to. So what we were finding is on the way to producing juice, we were seeing that there was potential for other products to be made. Still, juice is definitely the most easily utilised product. It starts as yogurt fruit, so using the puree.
Okay. Now this one has permeability tuning on the FM. So these buttons don't want to stay down. Okay, so we know it works. I'm going to really clean up the buttons because they're disgusting. And it's still humming quite loudly, so it's obviously it's well, it is switched on, but nothing is engaged, and there's quite a bit of hum. So I'll have to wait for the capacitors to come in for this one and the other power supply, and this is going to be quite a difficult one to do, unlike the Panasonics, and this is actually getting quite warm already. So the capacitors in electrolytics in this shot, basically. Yeah, and there's obviously something not quite right in there. So we'll turn it off and give it a really good scrub. But I'm not quite sure why it's not working on the battery supply. Something silly. Perhaps that needs to be connected, because it seemed to this tab here. I shouldn't be touching that. I'll just unplug it. So in here, that funny tab that was sticking out, that connects to this positive over here. I don't know, so maybe they rewired it for AC permanent or something like that. And yeah, okay, so we'll leave it there, and I'll, as I say, I will scrub the switches and the rest of it and make it look presentable. Now, I'm not sure whether you can see in here or not, but everything is, all these switches are covered with something very oily, and that's preventing it from latching. So I would think that someone has sprayed WD-40 in there. I don't know whether you can see the ends of the switches or not. Yes, if you have a look, they're really oily. And especially down inside, which I probably won't be able to show you, but I can see, oh yuck. It's actually, yeah. So I don't know whether I can bring this up and over. Try and get the end of the switches visible. No. Just can't. The stick antenna is in the way. Might be able to, yeah. You probably won't be able to see the oil that's oozing out of them. I'll try the other overhead camera again. You probably can't see, but be careful, Andrew, with the there's very fine wires attached to these switches, and this one in particular is covered in horrible oily stuff. I don't know whether you can see that coming out. You know, it's right. Try light on it. That's about the best I can do. But yes, if you look down, yeah. So it's this one down in here which I'm pushing. It's a little bit dark down there. And just make out the white bit. Is that any better? Ah, yes. Okay, so if you push this button, maybe hold that with that. Don't know whether you can see all the oil that's on the end of it. That one's any clearer? Yeah. So what I'm going to have to do is very carefully clean all this oil off. That is really bad. And just have to work these switches backwards and forwards until they latch and all the oil's off, well, as much oil off as I can get. Have a look at that. Get it to focus, yeah. So that's what's over the, coming out the ends of these switches. And I'm not going to take the switches out of the set because it's going to be an absolute nightmare and take far longer than it's worth doing. But we'll work our way through it and we'll see if we can make an improvement on it. This was what was on the end of the power switch, the on-off switch. So it's pretty, yeah. It's not good, this WD-40 on electrical contact.
$1,250, and for the bargain basement price of $1, you can pick up PwC's government services arm. They are selling it like a paper sale to a private equity firm. That you pick up that PwC partners and staff. So best money you've ever spent on the text. Without something like a puffer jacket, personally. Listen to this one. I like this one from Anita in the Yarra Valley. $12. Cast iron fry pan in Darwin, 26 years ago. The deal is if we split up, the one who leaves takes the children, 5 of them, and the other one gets the pan. That's how much they value it. The frying pan or the kids, with my parents, it was always the cats or the kids, and they would fight over that. Natalie's got this in Ringwood. Best money I ever spent. Custom-made R.M. Williams boots. Once in a lifetime extravagance. I have told the kids I am to be buried with them on.
It's almost latching reliably. I absolutely drowned it in alcohol, which I'll just turn Graham Radio Cruncher off.
Just turn the volume right down in a minute.
It's better. So this one is phono, this one is FM, and of course the dial string has now broken. This is with no aerial.
On a list somewhere, the public available, searchable. If I go $1,000 to one of these groups that support a political party, I could remain anonymous. Is that correct?
Well, there's a lot of lack of clarity about how that works, but if it's going to that entity, we don't really have any sign as to who's contributed.
This is going to sound absolutely brilliant once it's all back together again.
Whether it's a fundraising function or a
And I've actually cleaned these pots up. Oops, there goes the top.
very clear. You know exactly who has contributed anything over that.
They're not perfect yet, but they are actually doing something. And what's the end one is the AFC switch. Okay, so that's FM.
Has it always been that one? Or did it change in your time in office?
That's the AFC switch.
Where it has applied to me in the same way. So when I was elected in 2014, there was no requirement of naked aloneness, and also the requirement to disclose who you were wasn't in any way the same. So people, like a lot of people who would belong to parties or be affiliated with parties may have voted for me in the Shepparton district in 2014 because they thought it was a good idea to have an independent. But this time around in 2022, there would have been, there may have been many reasons why people didn't vote for me, Warwick, but one of them would also have been that they would have had to disclose anything over the $1,000 mark, to show, which would have shown that they'd supported me and not the party they might be or affiliated with. So there's things like that that do require more clarity. And
so, as I say, the switches need a little bit more work, or a lot of working. There is a slider. The latching seems to be done with this here at the top. So this slider, it's a thin piece of metal here. It's probably 0.5 of a mil thick. That is beginning to free up. Oh, actually, I can see, and there's also clips in there and one up there, which keep it in line. So that feels fairly free now. I'm going to have to keep on doing this. So this was gummed up, the slider, and the switches were drowned in WD-40. So that's a big no-no. Don't go anywhere near radios with WD-40, otherwise you'll have a oil slick on your hands. So a little switch on the top there. It is indeed. And this is the dial light, although I can see no dial lights in here. So I'll have to work that out. That's just a battery meter. Yeah. So there you go. Well on the way to being fixed. It's going to need a very big clean up though.